You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of people that look like Sean Dyche. You know
I
what
have
I mean?
a lot of things that go on in my head, and the criteria, he ticks a few boxes.
Jamal said, LOL, Ted Lasso is getting relegated, referring to Jesse Marsch. Bro, didn't somebody else, oh yeah, because they were making fun of Jesse Marsch for doing the huddles.
Yes.
After his first game, they had lost and did a huddle. Jamal, I believe Jamal's from London. Everybody in England, like, who is this joke of a manager?
Yeah, they start pulling out, like, who's this Yankee?
And
you're
then,
like, when did you guys learn that?
And then a couple weeks later, Phil Neville, head coach for Inter Miami, what does he do after a game? A huddle. Okay, where's the outrage?
I don't understand however you manage as a coach manager, whatever we're calling it, right? To create a team bond. I don't care if he's pulling out and doing paint a pot. Like, I don't, I'm not going to judge that. Like,
yeah, it's also like, I mean, to be a manager, it's a pretty ridiculous job, right? Like, you have to, and we do this with most authority figures, right? Where we know you have to act like you know what's going on. Like you have to have a vision. We play along with you. You do your silly games and your silly, psychological. I don't know if you've read any manager autobiography. I
have a few.
They're all like, they all have ways of how a player's manager and a man and tactical this and that.
Yeah, tactical manager, strategy manager.
So you gotta do. It's like having like when you have your teacher for years, and then it's like, or for the school year, and then you have a substitute that does something slightly different. It's like, what is this ridiculous thing? We normally color at 9:08 p.m. This is
Where is nap time? Yeah.
So
slight deviation, people notice.
So the fact that Jesse Marsch gets this criticism, I at the very least, I like that he's handling it a little bit more, a little bit better than like. Bob Bradley did, where Bob Bradley like internalized it and allowed people to talk about him. He was like, oh, well, I can't control the media and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I think that's the difference between just their personality types too, that you understand your place in this public sphere.
Right.
And they're definitely different managers. Yes, they're both Americans, but I think that Jesse's trajectory has been different from Bob's. And so with that, I think also being 2022 now that Jesse has this gig, which is amazing, you need to start leaning into the things that are different about you, because that sometimes makes an impact on the field and on the players too. So,
right. Yeah, it seems like when Bob Bradley was there, it was still old guard. TikTok wasn't even really out or whatever. You weren't doing
pre-TikTok, so dinosaur age.
Individuality wasn't like the thing. But I think Jesse Marsch is handling it well. But I do think it really all hedges on the fact that he needs to stay up. I mean, if he gets Leeds relegated, it is going to be bad, and it's going to be a bad look on American managers.
I think it would be true of anyone coming into that role, especially in these sort of very precarious waters that they're in.
Yeah.
But of course, he's under a magnifying glass because he's an American manager, because let's give them any reason to do the whole prove them wrong thing.
Right. And Leeds lost 4-0 to Manchester City, which you expect to lose to Manchester City, but you can't lose 4-0. You can't put up Bielsa numbers to.
You're like, hey, the last guy got away with it for a while.
We just left this. We just got rid of this. I
love Bielsa. I'm a little bit of a Bielsa acolyte.
Okay.
And I like his style and him as a person. So.
Alexis does this as well. I mean, you are sitting in his seat.
Yes. I need to work on my screaming, but apparently.
Alexis also is a fan of I think there's. We have this debate all the time where the style of manager we talked about with Taylor. I talked about Hernan Lozada, which he's also a disciple.
Yes. And that's what excites me. Like, we start to see some of these managers pop up in MLS, and I love that style of football.
Okay.
So,
So how do you feel about the way the players are managed themselves? Because the specifics about like their body fat and weight and things. I had this conversation with Taylor, and especially this becomes a big issue. I don't know if it's a bigger issue or not. Maybe men tend to be more secretive or discreet about this, but it is common knowledge, like in the women's game, about criticizing women's bodies and the kind of damage it can cause from coaches.
Yeah, for sure. I think that the issue with that is we've leaned so heavily into analytics to improve everything across the board: game, players, maintenance, and styles. And it's hard to disprove science when you say, hey, like this player needs to lose X amount of weight or otherwise. Do I think that there's a proper way to go about it, especially in training and otherwise? For sure. Last season, there was a really peculiar presser that Pirlo had done where he essentially like called McKennie fat.
Right. I did hear something like that.
That rubbed me the wrong way because I feel like that certainly should be within like the trainers at J Medical, him and their discussions going forward about like his BMI and otherwise and how they're measuring his progress.
Yeah.
But I don't think that that's something they need to be outwardly criticized for. I think, we expect them as elite professional athletes to be top form all the time. But you're also managing through a pandemic, through illness, through everything else, and so
through his ranch habits.
Yeah,
you know?
Bruh. I was unaware that Weston was just like chipping in bottles of ranch for himself in Italy, which.
Smuggling at this point.
I so proudly was like, oh yes, Weston McKennie's coming. I got up on my Schalke like podium and was like, because of course me following his entire trajectory, and also among the Italians getting to be like, yeah, look, like perfect example. And then this man gets on Amazon and says, pizza with ranch, perhaps. And I was like, I digress.
You're just like, what, Pirlo made some good points.
Yeah, I was like, maybe no.
It definitely is, as far as talking about a player's weight or body type or whatever, that definitely feels like that should be a private conversation and never should be brought up in any public setting because there's really no benefit to it. You're going to have fans and the press talking about that. It's going to make the player a billion times more self-conscious, male or female.
Not to mention, fans are sometimes really rabid and completely out of pocket. So I feel like in instances where you can avoid fueling fires that need not be, that's one of them.
Okay. Michael Raymond asked a question. Is that Cupo? It is Cupo. We've confirmed. Okay.
Confirmed. He checked my ID when I walked in.
I've checked in. I got two sources even to confirm this is Christine Cupo of CBS Sports. All right. So we have a couple questions. Jamal said, I wanted Burnley to go down because I hate gravel voice Sean Dyche. He does have a gravelly voice.
Sean does have a gravelly voice, but he also has a little bit like a mid-table punchable face.
Ooh.
And so I feel like maybe that could lead to it.
A mid-table punchable face. What a great description of just like a British footballing man. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like there's a lot of people that look like Sean Dyche. You know what I mean?
I have a lot of things that go on in my head, and the criteria, he ticks a few boxes.
It's wild. I thought as soon as they let him go, I thought it was like, oh, that's it. Burnley, they're falling apart. They're gonna get relegated. This guy's he's been with the team up and down in the Premier League for I think he's managed the team by almost like 12 years or 7 or 8, something like that. A long time, and then to get rid of him right now seems like a strange time. But I thought it was gonna fall apart. But then this new guy's doing everything right, and I can't stand this new guy.